Hey, what's going on? Welcome to The Doug Show. My name's Doug Cunnington, and in this episode, we are going to talk to Jesse Lakes from Geniuslink, and we're going to talk about Amazon best practices. I think we did like 8 or 9, or maybe even 10, but I may have said 11 or something like that during the interview here, but we cover a lot of stuff. The cool thing is Jesse's awesome. All right, so we've talked to him before. Check out the other episode that I've done with Jesse if you haven't heard it. And Jesse does a good intro about what Geniuslink is and all that stuff, so I won't do it here. One thing I do need to note is that Jesse and I were talking about what's called a direct qualifying purchase versus a non-qualifying purchase as it pertains to the Amazon Associates program and what the rules are and the commission rates in the EU. So I realize we're getting very deep, very quick. So I will explain what the direct qualifying purchase and non-qualifying and all that stuff is at the end of the interview. So I'll just let it roll. It's just a little minor thing that we didn't know what we were talking about during the conversation. So I'll tell you that we knew there was something to it. And later on, Jesse did the research, sent me in the information. So I'll read that out at the end of the interview. If you're brand new to the Doug Show, welcome. I'm glad that you're listening. Have a listen to a few of the other episodes, and if you like it, please subscribe. It will be very awesome. And if you do happen to like this episode, you'll find that a lot of the other episodes are pretty deep in the weeds for Amazon associate marketing, affiliate marketing in general, and every now and then I go really deep on SEO as well, or my guests do. So just check it out. I think you may like it. So without further ado, let's send it over to the interview with Jesse, and be sure to check out Geniuslink as well. Hey, what's going on? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project and The Doug Show, and I'm sitting with my friend Jesse Lakes from Geniuslink. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. It is a wonderful Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah, very close to Friday. We are recording this very close to Labor Day as well. So we got a long weekend coming up. Do you have any big plans this weekend?
Labor Day might be actual Labor Day for my family. So lots of big plans coming up. So yeah.
Big time. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out. I know you're busy right now. For the people that don't know you, can you give a little intro and talk about Geniuslink just for a moment so people know where you're coming from?
Sure. Yeah, I've been in the affiliate world for quite some time now. Started diving into it back in early 2000s, but along the way, I found that links traditionally send people to one destination. That wasn't always the best case. So kind of had this crazy route with iTunes and then Amazon, and ultimately built this platform called Geniuslink. That's an intelligent link management platform. I got to get that a little bit smoother one of these days since I talk about it all the time. But intelligent link management essentially just means that you can use a single link to help monetize your whole list of audience, your whole range of audience. A lot of times when you build a website, you're getting people from the US or the UK, but that's usually only a decent chunk of your property or decent chunk of your audience, where really your property is being appreciated by people all over the world. And when you don't monetize that long tail of your audience, you're really leaving money on the table. So Geniuslink is a tool for exactly that. We help our clients, our publishers, influencers, creators take full advantage of the opportunity that's presented with them with this community that they've built, and also help ensure a good buying experience for that community as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Very good. And if people want to hear more about your origin story, we recorded another episode where it was more conversational than the quick hitter sort of topic that we're doing today, which is the best practices for Amazon associates. And we have a list of, I believe, 9. We'll see how we do here. Some of those may turn into 2 or 3 as we dissect them. So we're just kind of going to go back and forth. And when I was reviewing the list, I could tell you, number 1, Jesse's very thorough. He did all this research for me. I'll give you credit.
Thank you.
I'm not ashamed of that. You got to surround yourself with smarter people than yourself. So
I thought that's what I was doing hanging out with you. Come on, Doug.
Oh, so in this case, Jesse brought to the table a lot, and we're just gonna like go down the list. So number one, we have make sure you link to products, not to search results pages. So I know I've done this in the past where maybe I didn't quite know where to send someone. And I thought, hey, if I just get them to Amazon, that's good enough. So what do you think about this, Jesse?
Well, yeah, maybe we should rephrase that slightly. It's okay to link to search results pages, but it's best to link to products. And there's kind of a theoretical point of view, but there's also some concrete stuff that's really starting to materialize. So the theoretical point of view is that when you get someone excited about a product and they have that intent to purchase, you want to get them to that ability to purchase as quickly as possible. And it's easier to buy from one of the product pages on Amazon than it is from a category page or a search results page or even the home page of Amazon. So, you talk about this camera, you talk about whatever it may be, people are interested, click that button, make it happen, allow that to happen. The second part of that, though, is we've seen some new language introduced by Amazon earlier this year, and it's this whole concept of what they call an indirect qualifying purchase versus a direct qualifying purchase. And this showed up in the, I believe, the March 3rd update to the Amazon European Terms of Service. And the gist was that they're going to pay you out a commission rate that's significantly higher for a direct qualifying purchase and significantly lower for an indirect. So just some examples here. I'll pull this up. But if you are in the fashion area, so clothing, accessories, etc., they're going to pay you 11 or 12% if you send the link directly to the product page. They're only going to pay you 1.5% if you send it to search results and kind of something happens along the way, what we often call a kind of a halo purchase. So, that's obviously a significant difference. So if you're promoting clothing, accessories, shoes, handbags, etc., don't use search results pages. Really, you want to focus in and send people to that specific product when you can. Obviously, you can't always do that. Sometimes a search results page is the perfect example the perfect destination for certain cases. But in general, if you have the choice, go to that specific product where the search is. Again, it's lazy. It's sometimes, and that's why I've done it in the past, is because I was being lazy. But find the right product, give a good recommendation, send them there, and you should be rewarded with a significantly higher commission rate. One quick, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just as an example for when the search page may be more relevant than some others, is like if you're just like mentioning an overall brand, for example, where maybe there's not a brand page for some reason. There probably should be like an overall brand page, but another place you may see that is like if it's just the name of a product type and you're not making a recommendation. So it would be like a more general type of piece of content or something like that. So sorry to interrupt you. What were you going to say?
Oh, so I was just going to take this one step further where, again, this is, in the European fee statement appendix is where this information is listed out. It doesn't seem to have been applied yet to the U.S. Amazon.com affiliate program. So obviously Amazon.com is typically the biggest affiliate program and typically the major moneymaker for most publishers. However, if you look closely, you won't see it in the Amazon Associates dashboard, but if you actually download the reports, you'll see that there's a column now that will give you the DQP and the IQP. And that just tells you, if it's a direct qualifying purchase, an indirect qualifying purchase. So I'm reading tea leaves here, take this with a massive grain of salt, but we see it specifically outlined in UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, France. We see the reporting is there for the US. I'm assuming it's only a matter of time. Again, take that with a grain of salt, do with it what you will. But in general, I definitely recommend your audience, link to products when they can and try not to be lazy and link to search. But again, you make some great points about when linking to search is, the best for kind of that user experience.
And quick, we got to be careful not to go too long, and I'm catching myself here, but like for the qualifying versus non-qualifying. So if someone were to link to a product and then the person, the user follows the link, but they buy something else, but they went through a direct link to a product and they just happen to choose a different one. Is that a qualified purchase?
That's a great question, and I'm not qualified to answer that. But the way that I read the tea leaves here is that The indirect qualifying is kind of that halo effect, right? You promote a specific TV, they buy toilet paper, right? That toilet paper, you're now going to be at that lower rate, but that TV, if they had bought it, that link that they followed initially, you would get the higher rate. And I think we've always known that Amazon is amazing for those halo purchases, right? You can be recommending, again, TVs and be making a ton of money off of toilet paper, which works out really well. And I think Amazon is really kind of wisened up to that, and they still want to reward you. It's still a sale. You still bring in a customer. You deserve something, but maybe not that full amount that they previously were. So again, to restate, I think that you link to a specific product, you'll get the full commission if that specific product is bought. But if it's an ancillary product or related product, I'm guessing not. Again, I can't prove that. I don't have any specific numbers there, but that's how I'm seeing things written.
Okay, that makes sense. We will keep monitoring it. All right.
Definitely.
So moving on to the next one here. This is sort of similar to be direct. So this one you mentioned, don't link to the Amazon homepage. And you also mentioned that, Amazon's sort of cracking down on this. So what can you shed some light on here?
Yeah. So again, we see that it's often worth your while from a fiscal perspective to send to a specific product. Again, kind of talking about the direct qualifying, indirect qualifying. But we've also found that Amazon's compliance team seems to be cracking down. Again, it's a little bit, again, of reading tea leaves to try to understand exactly what they had concerns about. But we've seen some clients come through that believe they were getting the letter of doom because they were linking directly to the Amazon homepage. So take that one step further. Amazon wants you to promote products. Amazon doesn't want you to incentivize clicks. Amazon doesn't want you to kind of mooch off their affiliate program. You need to be adding value. I think they see it, again, reading tea leaves, they see it as you just linking to the homepage, as you just trying to collect a commission for being there. The incentivizing clicks, asking for people to buy from your link. The Amazon homepage link often correlates very closely with that behavior, where recommending a specific product, you're really doing the job to promote that product, talk about the pros and the cons, your insights into that specific product versus just that homepage link.
Okay. So I guess trying to understand why those specific users maybe were, I guess not targeted, but why they were, had an inquiry or whatever. I guess they had a high percentage of their clicks going to the homepage, and Amazon was like, hey, this is out of whack for like the average site. They have a ton of data. So am I reading into that properly, do you think?
Again, I am not related to Amazon in any way. I run a third-party company that works a lot in the ecosystem, but I think you're probably reading things correctly. I have heard that Amazon kind of has a scoring system for their associates. You need to have, it's a lot of different factors that go into it. They won't explain it at all. It's kind of a hidden thing. But I'm assuming, the score was high in the wrong areas or really low because of this activity. So, I'm assuming that some sort of behavior, some sort of incorrect ratio is kind of what flagged them. But again, this is complete conjecture.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'll put another disclaimer at the top of this. We are just a couple people talking about this stuff, and consult your own lawyers and everything like that. We're not associated with Amazon, or we're hardly associated with each other, but all right. So the first few were sort of slightly more negative. So now we're going to be getting into some more interesting stuff where it's like, hey, give your users a bit more choice. So the next one coming up is to potentially give your visitors a choice to let's see, I lost my line there, but give your visitors a choice and have multiple retailers. So, Geniuslink works with a lot of different companies, and you have a very good case study by Armando. So can you kind of just explain what Armando did here, just Cliff Notes version?
Yeah. So the gist is we have this tool called a choice page. The idea is that you can promote a single product, but list multiple buy buttons. And the music industry, this has become kind of the de facto for marketing, where you can listen to a song You can buy it in iTunes or listen to it from Apple Music or Amazon's music platform or Spotify, etc. So most marketing for music these days happens with these choice pages with this list of different buy buttons. We've seen the book industry kind of follow along, right? You can buy a book, you can read a book via Kindle. You can also listen to it via Audible or other audiobook platforms. But that whole concept of one product, one thing to be able to consume in multiple places really plays well into this whole concept of one product, be able to buy it in multiple places. So we've had this tool for a while here, and it's slowly been kind of catching on in the product marketing space. Armando is a YouTuber that's got a great channel, and he kind of saw this early on and started to do Amazon buttons and B&H photo video buttons for each of the different products he recommended. And it's been really interesting just kind of hearing his story about once he started doing that, he started seeing immediate results. And over the last, it's been just shy of a year, he's seen his commissions double, not only on Amazon, but he's also become a top referrer for B&H, which is really interesting here. If your traffic is approximately the same, not only improving Amazon, but also starting to really see commissions on B&H is kind of the perfect answer. So we were really excited when Armando came to us and told us the story.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty awesome because you were showing me the choice pages and it seemed interesting, but I wasn't quite sure like the application or, many results. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'll link up for Armando's case study there. Maybe I'll try and talk to him as well. That sounds interesting. So one quick caveat here that I think your audience would be interested in knowing is you're really focused in on niche sites, niche websites. It should definitely be spit out that Armando is more on the social media side, more kind of on the influencer side, where you don't really quite have the luxury to be able to put the side by side table comparisons, or to be able to kind of do more of that long form piece where in a tweet or a YouTube comment you really only have space for a link or so, maybe a short call to action. So I think I would love to experiment with choice pages on websites as well, but this tool has primarily been more towards kind of that social media influencer side. But again, if you're doing niche sites, you probably have a social media play as well. So there's definitely, I'm sure, some crossover there. One other you're going to say something, I'm going to cut you off. One other thing that I think is really important, I don't have the perfect answer of why this worked out. We're still diving into it. We're doing a bunch of different tests. We've got a bunch of different clients that are helping us out with this. But I think what we've seen and what we've kind of started to unpack from this is just allowing a shopper to be able to do some quick research kind of on the fly, right? Here's this product. We often see that Amazon has the lowest price or quickest shipping, et cetera. But we also know that this other 2 or 3 retailers are notable, well-known retailers. If you can just click on the link, look at those other retailers and understand, it's out of stock at Target and it's $5 cheaper at Walmart. Okay, is that price difference worth going to Walmart instead of Amazon, et cetera? So it seems that allowing people to click multiple affiliate links to do this purchasing really kind of helps out with that intent to purchase being much quicker, but also allows you to set that affiliate cookie in multiple stores, which can be beneficial as well. So anyway, you weren't asking, but I wanted to throw that out there. No, that's perfect. Again, super interesting because I know B&H as well, and I've ordered stuff from them for years. So yeah, I think when I got my camera most recently, I was going to buy from Amazon because it was just easier.
Because that's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was out of stock. So I was like, shoot. And I think I bought it from B&H, or maybe I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't Amazon. And that's where I was like, all right, I'm going to get it. It'll be here like tomorrow, or whatever. And then, I ordered from somewhere else. Had to wait 2 days.
But because you switched from, probably some final review to convince you to buy that camera that sent you to Amazon didn't have it and you jumped over to B&H, the person that made that referral doesn't get credit. If they had that B&H button right there for you to click, they could have earned a commission as well, in theory.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, just to emphasize that point again, is probably like the perfect tool for the social media or a YouTuber. And again, I know a lot of, affiliate sites, niche website owners, they have the keywords right there. They can just create other content that'll go on YouTube, and they work very well together and help each other out. So, okay. And let's move on. We'll talk about secondary user access. And you had a note here that could be an issue. So what's going on with that? And what is secondary user access?
So secondary user access is something buried pretty deep in the Amazon Associates Central dashboard. But the gist is that you can give other Amazon accounts access into your dashboard. And it works really well for a variety of reasons. But we have seen, unfortunately, that Amazon has a very strong confidentiality statement as part of their terms of service. And it seems that they are really kind of putting that confidentiality and the secondary access, they're starting to butt heads. So traditionally, we've seen people grant secondary access to tools so they can go in and pull information for them, so they can build links, et cetera, so they can do due diligence if they're trying to sell the site or broker the site for you. Unfortunately, it seems that this is not as appreciated by Amazon as it once was. It used to be that secondary access was really easy to grant and have, but we found that there's been an increase in people getting kicked out of the associates program because they've been sharing confidential information with people that don't have a confidentiality agreement or some degree of that. So I guess the lesson here that the best practice here is just be really careful if you are granting secondary access to a third party, and make sure that if you are doing it, you're only doing it for a specific period of time in which some task or something could be happen. Make sure there's some sort of agreement. And then when that's done, just clean up, close out that access. It's your classic, it's much easier to forget about something and leave it open. But, those diligent business owners know that, that following up on the task and doing the cleanup afterwards is a pretty important piece of having a clean work environment in the bigger picture.
Got it. And yeah, I did this when I've sold sites. So, someone needs a broker, for example, needs to verify the site, due diligence, as you mentioned, and then they check and make sure that the reports are authentic and that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure, I need to double check now that we're talking about it, that I'm paranoid enough. And I was like, hey, I don't want them rooting around in my account. So I turned it off immediately. But I'll double check because, it's a long time ago. People forget, like you said. Exactly.
And it's, Amazon's built in some safeguards. They can't go in and play with where the money's deposited and such. But still, that information is valuable. That's important. So there's no need to leave them open. Just be smarter about that. And I think that was a bit of a wake up call for the community. But it makes sense. I don't blame Amazon one bit for cracking down on that.
Yep. And I think, it's important to note, like we're talking about Amazon cracking down on certain things. I mean, it's not like Amazon's trying to be mean to us specifically. It's
not
just,
at all.
They're running a business. There's a lot of folks out there. They're trying to manage this whole affiliate sort of population, this collective of folks. And there's some, bad players out there or whatever. So, for Amazon, they want to have a good customer experience. That's why we buy from Amazon. I love Amazon. You love Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So that's on the record. So we're on the record saying that. But yeah, the customer trust is big, and I will let you intro this next one coming up.
Yeah. So customer trust is, we had the conversation during the last podcast, really kind of, things to be wary of, things to avoid. And, the Amazon operating agreement, their policies page, there's so much thick documentation, thick in a good way. They lay it out for the most part pretty cleanly about what is and isn't okay. And, it's really the rules of how to play the Amazon affiliate game. And you had that audit, you went through the experience. It was hard to sometimes kind of decipher what is and what isn't okay. This is gray area. I could see it being meaning two different ways. And I think this whole concept of customer trust is really a good North Star for navigating that, right? What is right? What helps the customer feel like they can trust what you're putting in front of them? Are you being clean in your descriptions? Are you being authentic? Are you misleading? Are you identifying when the customer is going to leave the site? Are you telling them where they're going to go, et cetera? So just in our conversations with Amazon, customer trust comes up regularly, and it's, I think, just a really important concept to remember that this is, again, kind of that North Star that kind of helps guide what is and isn't okay. So yes, you could probably make a case for this and that, and you're going to lose, right? Amazon has their rules; they're going to follow those rules. So no matter how much you try to convince yourself that what you're doing is actually gray area or legit because you're rereading the rules in a certain inflection, I think the customer trust really helps, at least me, understand what that intent is. If there's any gray area, kind of use that. And one of the things I thought was also kind of helpful in that is customer trust is a great way to kind of review your calls to action. So one of the things that we saw that was kind of interesting is, playing with your calls to action, as can definitely mess with your click-through rate, and click-through rate really adds a lot. So, we had a client that kind of had a little bit more of a aggressive call to action, and we kind of looked at that a little bit and kind of, talked to the client and did some research, and Amazon's kind of came back and gave us some feedback. But one of the things that we thought was really interesting is this whole concept of weasel words, using best or discount or lowest or sale, words that kind of imply or push the consumer and not really kind of let them make their own decision. That trust really isn't there. So no hard and fast rules here for the audience, but just use that customer trust as the North Star. What is the best for the customer? Try to avoid, again, incentivizing the clicks, pushing them, being shady, right? You as a customer, you want to make that decision. When you make that decision, you're probably going to see good results. But if you're getting pushed into something, your conversion rate's probably not going to be what it should be.
Okay. And this, I made those mistakes early on where basically I was using a superlative that I wasn't sure, right? Like there was no way that it could always be accurate. And, going back to the perfect customer experience, it's like expectations are set before I click the link, and then I see what I expect to see on the other side. And then, I buy something and I get that thing. So I think if you avoid, again, the superlatives, and that is like lowest price or best price or biggest discount or something like that, and I'm just making those up arbitrarily. But I think if you avoid those sort of things that may be false, then you're probably in good shape. So
I would completely agree with you. You have to remember too, Amazon's marketplace is crazy dynamic, right? What was lowest price a minute ago may not be lowest price now. Those prices are in fluctuation. So again, when you say, the superlatives, that may not always be true. You're violating that customer trust. So you're absolutely right.
And during the audit situation that we mentioned before, I thought maybe I had a couple instances of that left over from way back in the day. And I did. So I just did a global search all over my site, found the, 2 or 3 and, removed them, cleaned them up, made them, more customer centric. So
perfect.
And, okay, let's move on to the global links and the international Amazon Associates program. So I know I actually left money on the table for a few years just because I wasn't paying attention. There wasn't a solution that I was aware of. I didn't know about Geniuslink yet. But once I did, I started earning more money. So if you are getting enough traffic, then it's a good way to, make more money from the existing traffic. Now, Jesse, you have some recommendations on the amount of traffic that one needs to see to kind of gauge whether it's going to be worthwhile.
Exactly. So kind of the general rule of thumb is if you have at least 10% of your traffic that's international, and ideally international from one of Amazon's 15 different storefronts, right? So let's take a quick step back, right? Amazon is not just Amazon.com. Amazon is 15 different storefronts around the world. So Amazon.com is just one, Amazon.ca, Amazon.com.mx, Amazon.co.uk, etc. And each of those storefronts each except for Netherlands, has its own affiliate program. So again, most websites, most social media, posts, etc., have some sort of international audience. The internet is global. So when you're sending everyone to Amazon.com, and even if they're coming from Amazon.de, from Germany, they may not want to buy at Amazon.com because Amazon.de is optimized specifically for them, or Amazon.in for people in India, or Amazon.co.jp for the Japanese population. So by paying attention to that audience, you can take, the 10,000 clicks a month that you get, and you can monetize a much bigger chunk of that instead of sending all to Amazon.com and really only be able to monetize or efficiently monetize, half or three quarters of that. You now can make sure that each person goes to the storefront and the product that you're recommending in that local storefront. And then you can take advantage of those affiliate programs as well. So taking that step back, 10% hopefully from one of the countries that have an Amazon store. So if you see, 5% of your traffic from UK and 3% from Germany and 2% from France, you're a perfect candidate for really paying attention to that kind of long tail of affiliate links. The flip side of that, and we had a conversation about this a little bit ago, until you have, there's a lot of things to focus on. There's a lot of things, when you're first starting out that you really need to pay attention to. This is not one of them. You need to have a community. Make sure that community, that audience, that traffic is really starting to grow. So while 10% is a good metric, the other side of it is you should probably have at least 1,000 clicks coming from international as well. If you're only getting tens or hundreds, yes, you can start to monetize it, but making $5 in Germany every month doesn't really matter, right? It's, when it's getting to 20, 50 a month, that's when it starts to add up, and that's when it's worth your time. When it's just kind of that low amount, it often isn't. You should spend your time on other things that are going to help boost that traffic, help build the site, help grow things. This is definitely a mid to latter site maturity optimization.
Yep. Totally agree. I won't repeat what you said. So I have nothing to add.
You always do such a great job taking my 10 minutes of blah, blah, blah and turning it into a really succinct sentence, though.
If you get enough traffic, go international. Boom.
There we go.
That's what you were trying to say.
For the win again.
All right, moving to the next one, we're talking about getting the right kind of traffic. So I know it's very easy when you're first starting out, you're just like, any traffic's going to be great. And maybe you build a site that is not going to have anyone interested in spending money. So no one's going to buy anything. So it's very important to have someone who's like thinking, hey, I'm researching a product that I'm probably going to buy in the next 24 hours or so. And that means you're probably looking for, keywords with a product, mentioned, and potentially I like the keyword golden ratio. And that's a concept where you could find just low hanging fruit. Usually you can rank these sort of keywords in these posts really quickly, usually within a couple days or something like that. It's more complex outside of the scope of what we're talking about. So I'll put a link in the description, but if you look I'll give you a format and then hopefully people will find it helpful. But let's say ballpoint pens and a specific user type. So best ballpoint pen for college students, right? So it's someone is looking for something for a specific application, and they kind of have an idea what they're looking for. And at that point, if you can get someone on your site with that sort of query, they're interested in buying something soon, and most likely they just want a curated list instead of going to Amazon and looking at the 40,000 pens that may be out there. Maybe they have a list of 4, and they can make a choice from that. So anything to add on that, Jesse, with getting the right traffic?
No, I mean, the keyword golden ratio, your newsletter is great for bringing that up, and a lot of education around that. And then just anecdotally, we see clients posting links kind of all over the place and doing different things to kind of get their link clicked, and it's pretty amazing where, you get to be focused. You find kind of that bottom of the funnel. You may only need 10 clicks to generate $100 in commissions, where unfortunately see some people that just spam their links across Twitter and get tons of clicks and just no conversions, because that's just not the right place, the right time, the right messaging to actually get the volume. Yeah, you got to click. And you have to get a click before you get a sale, but still you're just kind of blowing out the numbers. It's not being focused. So I think you're absolutely right. We're using some methodologies to really focus in and getting top of funnel, medium funnel, bottom funnel, right? The medium to bottom of the funnel is really where the magic happens, especially, Amazon having a 24-hour cookie window. You need to make sure that the intent is there. If it's, if they're just researching car tires at the very beginning, you're not going to sell very many car tires.
Exactly. And I want to give a quick sort of extreme example in the opposite direction. So I have a friend who is, a big YouTuber. I think he has like 80,000 subscribers. People watch, a lot of his videos. He has a platform, but it's not very targeted. It's actually like teaching yourself software development. All right. So it's like not a market of people that are interested in buying anything. Like all the tools are free. They're trying to learn on their own. Like they're not paying tuition. So these are just people that aren't going to buy anything. And even though he has a huge audience, many times the size of mine, like he can't sell that much stuff because those people are not interested in buying anything. In fact, a lot of them maybe they're not even, like 18 or whatever. Like it sounds like there's a lot of high school kids that are like trying to learn how to do software stuff. So like,
I wish I was that focused in high school, but go ahead.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I couldn't imagine that, but yeah, they're like trying to, learn something so that they can, have a great job or make money for their family or whatever. So anyway, it's completely the wrong audience to sell anything. So he tried to, pitch a couple things, but it's just not going to pan out in that way. So,
right. Yeah, you got to go to the other monetization platforms or other techniques at that point. Affiliate is probably not the right fit, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was it there. So moving on to our last one here, and this is being authentic. So one thing that I notice, and I think maybe I did this a little bit in the beginning as well, but any product that I reviewed, I just made it sound great. I was trying to recommend a product. Whether the product was $10 or $100 or $1,000, I was like, these are all great. Anyone would be happy with any of them. I give them, 100 stars, whatever, like you'll love it. And that's just not realistic. It seems like all the credibility is gone if a person is recommending like all the products when clearly some are better and some are worse. Now, the good part is I think some people always want to buy the most expensive thing. Some people always want to buy the cheapest thing. So if you give them options, usually like people will gravitate towards where they're most comfortable. And the whole punchline here is I think it's really important to offer pros and cons for any of the products you're reviewing. So even if it's the greatest product in the world, maybe it's a little expensive. Or maybe it's hard to get because they're so fantastic. They're rare. They sell out often. So that could be a con. It's just important to be authentic. So I bet you've seen a lot of sites, Jesse, where, maybe they weren't doing that. So do you have what do you have to add here?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Pat Flynn, has done a really good job kind of talking about how to be authentic with affiliate marketing. I really subscribe to that methodology that, you have to be proud of what you do. You have to believe in what you do. And when you're not being authentic, it's really hard to do that. It's not something you take to your mom and tell her, what you're working on or really be proud to tell anyone in your family what you're working on. But when you can actually, add value, give both sides of the story, I think that even just kind of comes back to the whole customer trust thing, right? They're going to believe you. You worked hard to get that, right? You have to see both sides of the story. You want them that, you said 7 pros and didn't give the 3 cons. They get that package that shows up. They open it up. They start using it. And yes, the 7 pros are right there, but the 3 cons you didn't talk about are the first 3 things they hit. They're going to be a little upset, right? And they're probably not going to trust you for the next review. You're not building that loyalty. So in the bigger picture, we are craftsmen. Our work is mostly over the keyboard, but we should be proud of what we build and what we make. And if we're not, then maybe this isn't the right business for us.
Very good. Yeah, and I think, well, again, I don't want to be redundant and just repeat, but yeah, if you could be authentic and like help the customer out as much as you can, then that's about all you could do. So, all right. Well, Jesse, thanks a lot for joining us here. I will link up all your stuff in the show notes and everything, but any parting words before we finish up here?
Always a pleasure, riffing on best practices about Amazon or really anything about Amazon. Always a pleasure going deep.
Awesome. Well, have a great day there, and we will catch up soon. Thanks.
All right. Cheers.
All right. Thanks a lot to Jesse and the Geniuslink crew. And I'm reading this. All right. I'm going to read you the operating agreement excerpt per my understanding on the EU. Now, before I do, I will mention that Jesse is not associated with Amazon. I am not associated with Amazon. We're just a couple of people who work within the Amazon associate ecosystem. And this is sort of our understanding. All right. So I'm going to read this, and actually I'll put it in plain language first. Basically, if you provide a link and people buy that exact product, you'll probably make more of a commission than if they buy something else. All right. So I will read it. I'll do my best to read it with the right cadence. Sometimes I mess it up. It's very funny. It's like I'm just learning to read or something like that. Here we go. All right. We're going to give it our best shot. A direct qualifying purchase means a qualifying purchase of a product in the same product category as the product detail page linked to from the special link that resulted in the qualifying purchase. An indirect qualifying purchase means a qualifying purchase of a product in a different product category than the product detail page linked to from the special link that resulted from the qualifying purchase. If a special link does not link to a product detail page, then any qualifying purchase will be an indirect qualifying purchase. Product category means the product category of the product described in the tables as determined by us. And if you go to the EU Associates Program Operating Agreement, you will find a table for the categories. Back to the policy here, we will determine the classification of products in each category described in the agreement. Okay, that is the end of it. I think I did a pretty good job reading it. Full disclosure, I messed up the first couple times, so I recorded it. I recorded that more than once, and here's the deal. You should probably go read the operating agreement on your own and make sure you understand. As I was reading that out, I realized they used obviously a lawyer went through this, and then some other lawyers peppered in their details as well. So it's very specific, but it makes it a little bit wordy to read and understand for normal human beings, I would say. No offense, lawyers. And basically, like I said, in plain language, if you're linking to a specific product and someone buys that product or something in the same category, likely a super related kind of product, then you'll get a higher commission rate, most likely. If it is an indirect purchase, it means you've just sent someone over to Amazon and they've purchased something else. So for example, if I have a link to some sort of hair gel, right? Because I'm a big user of hair gel. Just kidding. I'm bald. So that's not something I would review because I don't need to use that kind of product or any kind of product that deals with hair. Of course, this is a podcast, so you can't see me, but I'm extremely bald. Anyway, back to it. So if I recommend hair gel, but someone buys a very expensive laptop, in the past, that would be fine. I would just get the commission rate for the laptop category. It would be fantastic. However, nowadays, I would get a different commission rate in the EU. So the point is, this hasn't exactly rolled out to the US yet at the time that I'm recording this. However, in the future, that could happen. So keep that in mind. Again, I'll mention the disclaimer. I'm just some guy, and you should consult the operating agreement yourself. You should work with a lawyer, work with accountants, all professional folks who are much more qualified than me. I just read this out. Okay. So from that, I think we could draw to a close these tips. If you have questions or anything, feel free to reach out to Jesse or myself on our channels. There's links for Jesse's stuff in the description. Definitely go check out Geniuslink if you haven't before. The blog is actually really, really good. And I'll give Jesse a plug here for two things. Number one, he did sort of a commentary on my Amazon affiliate audit blog post that I wrote a couple months ago after I was audited. So he went through, again, I'm generally, I wouldn't say completely ignorant, but I'm fairly ignorant in certain things. Jesse has a lot more data to draw from. He's been doing affiliate marketing a lot longer than I have, and he has worked with the Amazon Associate Program longer than me as well. Working with Geniuslink, he's able to, I guess, understand some of the issues and troubles and just understand the rules, the operating agreement better than me. So he went through and did commentary on my audit. Basically, he added in like a little bit more details, areas where I made mistakes. He corrected me and just sort of cleaned it up. So I'll put a link to that. Very good read. Obviously, I hope no one gets audited, but it's a reality that could show up at your doorstep at an unexpected time. And if you do get audited, you don't have much time to react. You got 5 business days. So you need to have your act together. You need to be able to react quickly and get the information over to Amazon quickly. So highly encourage you to check it out if you are involved at all in the Amazon Associate Program. So that is plug number 1. Plug number 2 is he's going to be joining me on another episode coming up soon. Geniuslink has acquired another company, so I won't mention anything right now, but I recently found out that information. Pretty cool. So Jesse talks about acquiring companies. He talks about like the path that takes and just a little bit more of the background for Geniuslink and how they've grown, the ups and downs and that sort of thing. Very cool episode, and it's like more startup driven, which is kind of cool because I came from this affiliate marketing area. Some would call it the seedy underbelly of the internet. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, super cool to talk to Jesse in that episode as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Again, if you're new, if you found me through Geniuslink or something like that, you found this podcast through Geniuslink, very cool. Definitely check out the previous episode that I did with Jesse, and also keep your eye out for the episode coming out soon about the acquisition that Geniuslink went through. So thanks a lot. We will catch you on the next episode.